Now you understand a little more about Gantt charts. We're now going to talk a little bit about a related diagram called a network diagram, or a PERT CPM diagram. CPM stands for Critical Path Management. You can see these diagrams fairly easily in ProjectLibre by going to the Task menu and then clicking on Network up here. So you can see that if I zoom out, you can see what this project looks like in terms of including all those. Okay, so you can see very quickly the critical path through this project. So it's just another way of looking at the project, and quite often we're asked to deliver a network diagram or a PERT CPM diagram, and it just lets us know that sequence of tasks that determine the earliest date in which a project can finish. One of the other things that I'd like to show you quickly is, and keeping in mind that this is not a project management unit, so you'll find out more about this in project management units, is actually assigning resources to this to each of these. Now, if you can click on the Gantt chart again, you can see that we've got all of our tasks, but we haven't actually set any resources for these. In other words, we haven't identified who is actually going to work on each of these tasks, and we haven't identified what other resources we may need for those tasks. For example, equipment. This helps us to know when equipment's required, how much it's going to cost, how much the personnel costs are going to be for the project, and how we can actually identify savings for that project by maybe putting an extra person on at a critical moment to bring the project back into into line. So we can do that by recognizing that there are people that may be sitting around that were maybe needed for these sort of tasks, and they may be sitting around waiting for somebody else to work. So we can sometimes take these people and put them onto another task and be able to reduce the duration of the task and the cost of the task in that way, rather than paying somebody for actually not working. Okay, so to do that, to do the resources, or to put the resources on this chart, what we need to do is actually look at the resources that we've got. So to do this, there's a couple of different ways we can do it. We can click on this. I know you're probably wondering what this column was, but if you click on that, it actually has the general task information, so you can put that in here if you don't want to type in there, and the duration. You can have an estimated duration. You can also set how much this is complete. So this can be a tracking Gantt chart as well, which can show you where you're actually up to in the project, and whether it's falling behind time or not. You can set priorities on different tasks, and you can see that for this particular one, 4 days, 32 hours. If you're only going to work on that for half of each day, but it's still going to take 4 days, but we could have less hours, then you could put that on there. And the start and the finish, if you remember, are automatically set. Okay, so this was just the information that we already had, plus a couple of other things as well. Our predecessors are the predecessors that we put in that list. So this is another way of adding those in. And there's lots of different ways you can put those predecessors in. Again, we're not going to go into detail in it because you have a whole other unit on project management. Same with successors, and you also have a tab here called resources. Now, at the moment, everything's grayed out on it, so you can't actually do anything with it. So let's just close this and we'll actually have a look at how we can start doing something with those resources. Okay, to do that we go to the Resource tab and click on Resources. And you can see that here we have sort of a spreadsheet. We can actually drag these around again. Some of these things we're probably not going to necessarily need. One of the things we probably will need is the standard rate and the overtime rate. You can see, or cost per use if we're talking about materials, etc. Okay, so I'm just going to move this standard rate and overtime rate up here, and initials. Okay, so I'm just moving it along. Okay, so I'm going to work on this project. So I'm going to put in my name, and you can see that the types that you can choose are material or work. So materials are things that you maybe need to hire or things that you need to buy for this particular task, for a particular task, and work are the actual personnel. So say work, and then we put in a standard rate. So let's say that my standard rate is $60 an hour, and my overtime rate will be say $80 an hour, and we can put in some initials there. And we don't actually have to put anything about the material or the cost per use or anything else in there. If we can, you can actually customize this and add more things, but I'll just show you how this works. So Joe blogs their work, and they can be working for $50 an hour, and their overtime is $75 an hour. Okay, so now we've got a couple of resources in there. Now what we can do is start assigning those to the tasks in our Gantt chart. So if you click on task, go back to our Gantt chart, and now what we can do is say, well, I'm going to assign Raina to meet with the sales department. Okay, so I can just click on that and then assign, and you can see that I can assign more than one person if I wanted to. Okay, just close it, and you can see that I'm assigned, and it says how many hours and so on. Okay, close. Now you can see now it's got my name there. Let's just assign Joe Blogs Okay, so we've now got Joe Blogs assigned to meeting with the marketing department at the same time as I am meeting with the sales department. Let me just show you what would happen if we then tried to assign me to that same part. Okay, now notice how it's shrunk the time that will be taken, because it's recognizing that there's two people there and it will actually take them less time. Now that's not going to help us much because this particular task isn't on the critical path. What would be better is if we removed Joe from here and then added Joe to here. Okay, can you see how that's changed things? Okay, and we can actually go from there and work with our in fact, it's probably not changing because the fact that if you can actually see, sorry, I've just turned my mic down. You can actually see that I'm already highlighted, which means that I can't be, that I'm already assigned. So probably we need to remove me from this. Okay, so you can see anyway how you can assign those, and that then means that we can actually do some, we can actually find out how much the project will cost, and it will actually work out how much it's going to cost for the personnel and the various resources within that. So you can think about ways that you'd be able to you can think about ways that the changes that you could make to that project to finish the project earlier, or alternatively to reduce the cost of the project. And the whole thing about Gantt charts is that it allows you to do a bit of what-if analysis as well as to monitor the project. As I said, this is a very quick introduction to Gantt charts and PERT CPM diagrams, but hopefully you've got the idea of how useful they can be.